So, good evening and welcome to the Online Wine Tasting Club. And we are all about Argentina today. And to my right here is not Alex. We'll see how he does before I actually introduce him and see if it's any good. So this is Dan. He does generally a lot of behind the scenes stuff. He's the customer service. He packs the boxes up. He gets them out to you. And he's started to learn a little bit about wine. So while Alex is off playing in Lanzarote, we thought it would be best to bring him on and see what he knows. Say hi to everyone.
Hi everyone, how are we doing?
So ask him all the questions that you want to ask and all that kind of good stuff. So today we are doing Argentina, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic country. There's, lots of great wines, lots of great things, and really, really tough to try and pick 6 wines, because if we just pop the map up here, we can see how massive of a country it is. We go all the way from Salta, all the way down to Patagonia, with lots of cool stuff in the middle. So we're going to do 6 wines. We're going to start in Salta, go to Mendoza, then go down to Patagonia, then come back to Mendoza, and then go back to Salta. So we're doing about a 6,000 mile round trip in the next hour. For anyone who's new to us, we've got Slido. So you can go to slido.com and put this number in, or you can scan the QR code there, and that will allow you to pop your own tasting notes in. So you can put in what you're thinking and all that kind of good stuff. So I think what's most important is probably to get wine number 1 in the glass. So we're starting all the way up in the north in Salta. So let me get the tasting notes on so you guys can start popping those in. There we go. Fantastic. So while we have a little sip of this, we're starting in Salta, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a couple of bits and pieces and just do a little bit of a run over why we think Argentina is so special, so great, so exciting. Go from there. So let's sip through wine number 1, which is our Torrontés from Salta, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about it and the tasting notes once we've gone through this little slide presentation. So okay, can we hear me now if I come back up again? Okay. Is that any better for anybody? Okay, fantastic. So, the joys of things. Dan's coming back. So, we'll leave me here. So, what we've got here is we can see, the wineries are really, really, in for making these great wines. I think, about 15 years ago, there was a problem with there was a race to the bottom with pricing of Malbec. People were trying to make it really, really cheap, really, really quickly. And a lot of winemakers have gone, let's make really, really great wines. Yeah, and we just see the size. We see the pure size of Argentina here. You know, massive surface area, 3,700 kilometers of, you know, between the north and south extreme points. And we talk about wine growing from that 30 to 50 range. And this really jumps in, you know, 20. Right.
When you put the slide up.
So, and okay, we've got people with sound, people without sound. This is very strange. So what we've got this massive region. You know, Argentina is the 8th largest wine, you know, country in the world, 5th largest wine growing producer. So you'd expect them to have lots and lots and lots of different wines. And altitude plays a massive, massive part. From the very, very north, we've got really high altitude. When we're up in Salta, we're looking at, 1,600 feet above sea level. 1,600 meters above sea level. In Coyo, anywhere from, 2,000 to, going down to about 500. And then we go down to Patagonia, and it's a little bit lower down there. But, as you go further north, you get nearer to the equator. So you want it to be a little bit higher, because for each 1,000 meters above sea level, you drop about 1 degree in temperature. So you need to have that for that diurnal shift that works. So we'll continue talking about Argentina as we go through. But the first wine is Torrontés, and this is Argentina's white grape. It really is. When we talk about Argentina, we talk about Malbec for the reds, but then for the white, Torrontés is really what it is. And this is... Okay, Neil can't see or hear anything. What is going on? Can you just go on your laptop and log into YouTube and see if you can follow along? Okay, we've got someone who says it's okay now. Okay, Alex is tuned in from Lanzarote, and he seems to be okay. Okay, right. Yeah, log in, log out, come back again. So who knows what's going on tonight? It seems half the internet of the world's working and half the internet's not. So, but we managed to get rid of Dan very quickly. So this is Bodega Colome, and this is their estate series, Torrontés. And when you get this, you get on the nose with this. It is bright, it's fresh, it's aromatic, it's absolutely beautiful. Then you've got this textured flavour, this textured finish. Dan, I think the world's good. You can come back and play again.
Okay, I'm coming.
So when we get this, we'll just put the tasting notes up very quickly that people have got here. Floral, elderflower, citrus, honeysuckle, like an overripe Chenin Blanc, pineapple, a lot of these tropical flavours. And I think it's, absolutely fantastic. What do you get?
It's really, really aromatic, I find, with the Torrontés, and it's a really great grape, and it's one that's well grown. Argentinian's great white grape. It's citrusy, peach, a little bit of pineapple. I get a bit of tropical in there, a bit of pineapple.
So important thoughts. What are we eating with this?
Food-wise with this, I think seafood would go really well. Something like some scallops, some prawns, nice seafood platter, something like that.
Absolutely. And I think you've got to have that lighter style of food, because if you go too big, too heavy, too quickly, it's going to be, overpowered, and, you're not going to get that flavour. What's interesting about this is sometimes Torrontés can be a little bit of a polarising grape, because it's got the same chemical flavonoid in it as you get in coriander. And sometimes people taste coriander and they feel it tastes waxy or soapy and almost a little bit like dishwasher powder. And Torrontés can have that at the same time. It's one of those things that I don't have that, and I don't taste it like that. And I've tasted wines and people have gone, there's something wrong with this wine. It tastes like this, it tastes like that, it tastes like soapy. And before I learnt about this, there was a lot of kind of talk that people were like, oh, is your glass clean? Is this, and I'm like, oh, if the glass is not being washed properly or something like that. And you got this real kind of like soapiness to it. But anyone in the chat, what are we eating with this? That would be my thoughts. Coming back. So yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful. Hi to Alex and Lanzarote. Good to see you. Perfect. So yeah, in other news, while Alex doesn't have his bright shirt here to upset anyone, you might see that I'm modelling a wonderful new hoodie that was sent to us from the guys at Daddy Wine Club. Someone actually decided to sponsor us and think, well, I say sponsor, send me some free clothes to wear. So if you like their stuff, look at this. We could do a little promo here. If you like this, you can buy them direct from there.
Trying to give them a show of the full.
There we are.
Just choose wine.
Choose wine. Choose all your wines. So there we are. That's my promo bit. So yeah, final one. Back to the tasting notes before we go to number 2. It is. I like that overripe Chenin Blanc. It's nice when you get a grape that you can kind of link it to something else. So it's your next step. If you like this, you might like that. So if you like a very rich Chenin Blanc, you might like Torrontés, and that's a very easy way to get people into a new wine and into the next wine. So
definitely agree with the floral as well. It is aromatic, floral, really, really nice.
Absolutely fantastic. So what have we got? Yeah, look at that for a pairing. Pork pie. Mature cheddar works well. And not sure of the right thing. You know what? You got to open what you like, eat what you like, drink what you like. And what have we got here? We've got a prawn stir fry from Neil. There's some good options in there, some real good options in there. Fantastic. So let's not answer that live on the screen. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's pop into wine number 2, Dan, the man with the plan, and continue. So we are going from Salta and into Mendoza, and Mendoza is absolutely massive, and it's very difficult to kind of put Mendoza in one category. It's huge. There's more vines planted in Mendoza than there is in all of France put together. But what I love about Argentina now is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was Argentina was Malbec, and that was it. But now you're starting to see sub-regions and people saying, I'd like, a Malbec from Luján de Cuyo or UCO Valley or Tupungato. And we're starting to see these different GIs, geographic indications, popping up all over Argentina. And I think that's hugely important because, and I talk about it about Argentina, I talk about it about Australia, that it's very important that these regions are huge. They're really big places. And you should be able to, talk about regionality, because it would be like saying that, Europe is, make Chardonnay, and that's it. You take the size of Argentina versus the size of Australia, absolutely massive places that there needs to be this. And as you go further into the Andes, you find this. You go further north, you find this kind of wine. You go further south, you find that kind of wine. And there's too many people, tar everything with the same brush and go, I don't like Argentinian wine. I don't like Chilean wine. I only like this wine. And with the way the world is changing, wine is changing, it's becoming few and far between that, something is the same. You cross the road in Burgundy and it's a vastly different style of wine. And we need to start talking a little bit more about that in the new world. But anyway, we are heading into a touch of Pinot Grigio. So Pinot Grigio, we all know from our lovely world of Italy and Alsace, where it's Pinot Gris. But this meat, it's a relatively new producer. They've been around since 2010. They're relatively high. They're 740 meters above sea level, but they are one of the largest producers of wine in Argentina. 74 individual parcels that they kind of pop together. What have we got? Oh, look at that! So for those who have known Kathy, she's a fantastic friend of the of the club, is an owner in Al Passion, and we've got a little video about how they're doing to catch up with later on. And she's actually over in Argentina right now, making sure that everything is all good. So hopefully everything is all good over there. So this is Pacho Pereira, and 100% Pinot Grigio, and this reminds me a little bit of Italian Pinot Grigio. It's light, it's fresh, it's lemon, it's lime.
It's got characteristics of Pinot Grigio. High acid, delicious.
It couldn't, for me, it couldn't really be anything else. And I think that's interesting because a lot of the time when you move a grape round to different places, it really takes on the terroir and the characteristic of somewhere else. And for me with this, it's very Northern Italian Pinot Grigio-esque. I'd be tough to blind taste that and put it anywhere else than it is. So, once again, let's have a little look at the tasting notes, how they're going on. And there we are. We're fresh, we're sharp citrus, we're grapefruit, we're pear, we're floral. Chutney, I like that.
Fresh, definitely fresh. Got grapefruit in there, pear.
But yeah, bright, fresh, easy drinking, and it ticks all the other boxes as well. It's certified organic, it's sustainable wine practices, it's vegan, vegetarian, all those kind of good things. And we've talked about that, on a couple of things previously, that you can be organic, sustainable, vegan, vegetarian, and that's all well and good. But A, what does that actually mean? And B, the wine has to be good. And these guys do that. Organic. Oh, it's fair trade as well for a thing. So it's fair trade. So everyone gets paid a proper wage. The wine gets taken care of properly. The people get taken care of properly, and everyone can make some money. Because there's a lot of places in the world where, the grapes are grown, and the people who are growing it don't get looked after properly. So, but there we go. So. What are we thinking? What's important about this? Where's my little thing? So, summarizing, we've got a producer who is Paquito Pereira. It's from Mendoza. The grapes, it's 100% Pinot Grigio. And I think the cool fact is it's, going after this organic, sustainable, certified. Tasting notes, I think we've got loads of tasting notes on that with, with that fresh, with the citrus, very drinkable. This is sit outside in the sunshine and have 84 gallons of it. And then food pairings.
What would you say for this, Jamie?
Oh, I'm
going for you. You have a pick. What are the crowd saying?
We're pulling the notes up. Like number 2, more grown up than number 1. Okay. And what else have we got? Oh, everyone's on Spag Bowl tonight. You should have sent me something. Yeah, I think when we take the two different wines, the Torrontés is very floral, it's very light, it's very fresh. It's it's florally and lovely. This one's got a bit more depth, a little bit more acidity, a little bit more roundness. But both really good wines, and I think that's the point. It's not every one wine is better than the other. It's the right occasion. The Torrontés is sit outside in the sunshine. This is still it's a you could drink this quite easily, but you could have a little bit more food with this. Something, I don't know, prawns, scallop, stir fry, something like that. If something's got a little bit of heat, a little bit of chili in it, the acidity in this would kind of cut it right through.
Ooh, we'll go well with light pasta.
Light
pasta.
I think so. It feels very Italian-ish. So, an Italian, pasta, pesto, a bit of green in there. I think would really good. You've got that ripe apricot, you've got a little bit of peachiness. But, when we talked about that kind of acidity, it sits there. That acidity really, really runs through the wine. It's bright, it's fresh, it's delightful, it's delicious. So, there's one thing that I'm going to talk about quickly while Dan pours wine number 3, and that is climate. And we have lots of different climates in Argentina, but something that is absolutely insane when it comes down in Argentina is the hail. And you can't do an Argentinian wine tasting without talking about, the size of the hail. People talk about golf ball size hail going through France. People talk about tennis ball sized hail going through, Austria. But then we go to Argentina and they have football size hail, something along the size of that.
It's almost the size of that guy's head.
Yes, it is a head size of that. Cars get destroyed doing this, things get, so imagine that running through your poor little vineyard. Doesn't stand a chance. So you've got to be very careful of, hail coming through depending on the season, and get your grapes off the vine if you have a chance. But yeah, we'll show that again because I just think that's absolutely mental. The size of that is absolutely insane. I don't know if you tried to catch it, probably a bit dangerous, but there we go. Cool. So let's I'll move the taste notes along, and Dan, you want to introduce the next wine?
On to wine number 3. So we are staying down in the south, in Patagonia, with a really nice, delicious Pinot Noir, of all things, from Argentina.
So going down to Patagonia, we're going very, very, very south. We're getting a little bit lower. It's not as hilly or mountainous as we go down, and we're getting cooler climates, and that's really important for Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir doesn't like it too hot, doesn't like it too cold. Pinot Noir is it's a fussy little grape, and it's difficult to grow and it's difficult to get right. So that's why it generally commands a relatively high price. And yeah, Argentina and Pinot Noir, they're not the first two things you think of to go together. The same way most of South America, Chile, there's very few places that can grow Pinot Noir well, because you've either got to be very coastal or very south and have that cooling thing. But you can't be too cold or you don't get any ripeness. So it's about getting that balance right. So this is Sur los Ojos. And yeah, so this is a Patagonian wine region called Neuquén, which is, there's only 1,700 hectares under vine. So it's a relatively new area, lower altitude, as I said, about 250 meters. And Ojos del Sur really means southern eyes, which you would think it was someone looking to the south, but it's not. Have you got the bottle?
It's not at all, no. Let's grab the bottle.
Because Dan is, the bottle man. It's got a butterfly on the label, and it's to do with the eyes on the butterfly. So, as I've always said, if it's got a butterfly on the label, a mariposa, you know it's got to be good. But this is, this is getting to, the very, very extremes of wine growing. That, you go much further south and it's too cold. You're not going to be able to do anything. So this is very, very kind of extreme wine growing. And it's light. I say it's light. It's fruity, it's jammy, but it's very, very elegant. And yeah, so it's 100% Pinot Noir, so it's not anything else blended. It's all Pinot Noir. There's no messing around with it. About 20% of it is Asian oak, so that gives it that little bit of roundness, that little bit of richness, that little bit of power. But lots of cranberry, lots of fruit, lots of flavors.
Cherry, strawberry, almost like glacier cherry, the sweet cherries that you get on
absolutely.
the top of an ice cream sundae.
Absolutely. So we've got cherry all over the place here, low tannins, vanilla from that little bit of oak.
Strawberry emoji.
There we are. We've got a strawberry emoji. There we are. And, I think this is absolutely fantastic. And if my new little thing works, we've gone to the thing that we can go. We don't usually do prices, but there was a new little thing that popped up that we can just go like this and go. If you like it, at $14.95 for world-class Pinot, you can just scan that QR code and go and buy it right now. So really, really good. I think, if you were drinking something like this from California or from Oregon or somewhere like Martinborough, New Zealand, you'd be paying twice the price for it. You really would. And I think there's some absolutely great value in this. It's really smooth, really drinking. Let's jump in here. Oh, look at that. So, Alex, we need to calm down. Not too many, you've popped your thing on saying you're in Lanzarote. We know now, we're in Argentina right now. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Martin, on that. It's really interesting because it is very, very light. It looks a little bit wishy-washy when it comes out of the bottle into the glass, but then it's got this lovely, lovely power about it. It's got this beautiful fruit, and sometimes that can be surprising. That a wine either looks like it shouldn't, and then it's impressive, or sometimes you smell it and think, oh, it's going to be sweet and something, and then it's dry and crisp. And that is the joy of wine. That looks can be deceiving, and it's not always about wine tasting. It's that wine evaluation that you have a look at it, you have that swirl, you have that smell.
I think it smells absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this.
So there's a note here. Prefer less oak. I see that point. It's only 20% in there. I kind of would worry if it had less oak that it would lose a bit of its power. I think the oak is there to kind of round it out a little bit. Otherwise, it might be a little bit watery, maybe. But as always, it's an each their own, each their favourite flavours, and each to what they like. So food pairings, Dan. This is your goal
It's
tonight.
my goal today.
To create a new menu for everything.
Okay, I was thinking with this, I think for Pinot Noir, this does have a bit of power. So to stand up to that, I would go with something myself as like a tuna tartare, something like that. A little bit of like big fleshy fish, something nice just to, with the sort of like the power and the nice fruits in this would go lovely.
Yeah, I agree. Something, you can go fish with this, see, but you're down, you're down Patagonia, home of the Patagonian toothfish, the sea bass is that part of the world. But yeah, I think it's really, really versatile. This is the kind of wine that you could have slightly chilled, on the ice, maybe kind of like 13, 14 degrees. I think it would do really, really well. It's drinkable just by itself. It's very quaffable. Drink it, have fun with it. But yeah, I like the idea of tuna tartare. Something salmon with couscous or something like that. Swordfish, a meatier, fleshier fish would do really, really well with this. But yeah, this there's this lovely, subtle cherry note to it, and that little bit of baking spice. It's the vegan and vegetarian for the people who like it, and it's only 12.5% alcohol, so it's
Not too heavy.
It's relatively light, and alcohol's an interesting chat at the moment, isn't it? Because it used to be 12.5 was kind of 12.5. That's quite. And now you're seeing, Pinot Noirs quite easily being 14.5%. So to be at 12.5 is quite good. Yeah, and Pinot Noir with fish, completely agree. Pinot Noir is so versatile. It's Pinot Noir goes well with fish, but sometimes I'll have if it's got enough acidity to it, Pinot Noir with a steak goes really well as well because you've got that great acidity. As long as the steak's not covered in peppercorns or like a deep mushroom sauce or something like that, and you've just got a great piece of steak, nice and simply done with a Pinot Noir with beautiful fruit and great acidity, does really, really well.
I think we've sorted out everyone's menus for dinners.
All right, let's have a quick last look at the tasting notes before we head on. So yeah, I think there's a lot of agreement with what's in the tasting notes compared to what's on there. Yeah, Ian, I like my Pinot Noir with everything. Exactly.
Cheers
Great,
for that.
Great pairing with a Pinot Noir is another glass of Pinot Noir. Bring me some chocolate, that cooked baked red fruit, cranberry. You got that little bit of crunchiness, that chocolatey aftertaste, and it's really nice. It's got that kind of little bit of tertiary flavour in there. There's some really, really cool stuff in there. But yeah, dive in, enjoy. So we're heading further forward into wine number 4. So we're staying down in the south, and we're staying down in Rio Negro. So Rio Negro in Patagonia. Let's move these tasting notes on quickly for the world. There we go.
So this is sort of a contrast in wine styles, both from the south, isn't it, with the Pinot Noir
Yeah,
and now
so
a Malbec.
so this kind of was, the idea behind this was to kind of show that one region doesn't just make one thing. We can see here, Patagonia, we're all the way south down here. Really, really kind of cool climate. So we've got the Rio Negro down there. We've got Neuquén down there. So we're now going to Malbec. And, Malbec is Argentina's grape. It really is. Obviously, it's got its history from France in Cahors, where it's a single vineyard. It's important in blending in Bordeaux. And, that's where it really started. But I think Malbec being known to the world as a single varietal wine really comes from Argentina when settlers took it over, planted it, and made it their own. And I think this is the epitome, but, it's one of the first wines that I saw, people coming and actually asking for a particular wine from a particular place. Have you got Argentinian Malbec? I think the first one was when we talked about people wanted New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Before that, people would say region. They wanted a Barolo, they wanted a Chablis, they wanted a Pouilly-Fumé or whatever that was, whatever that choice was. And that was that step up from having a house white or a medium dry or something like that. But for every day, going to the pub and ordering, that kind of Marlborough, New Zealand was a thing. And then there was Australian Shiraz and Argentinian Malbec. And now it's going that step further that people are wanting it from Mendoza, which is really good to see that people are picking regionality and going, oh, well, I like a Mendoza Malbec. And,
being a little bit more specific on where they want the wine to come from.
Yeah,
in the country.
and it's knowing that it's not all the same. We go, there's that age-old joke of people telling me, oh, I don't like Chardonnay, but I love a Chablis, because of knowledge and knowing it is. But a Chardonnay from Chablis and a Chardonnay from Western Australia and a Chardonnay that's been oaked up to its eyes in California are three very different wines. And a Malbec from Cahors and a Malbec from Bordeaux and a Malbec from Argentina are very different. And now we're getting to the stage that a Malbec from Mendoza and a Malbec from Patagonia and a Malbec from Salta are very different. And then even within Mendoza, if you really dive deeply, a Malbec from the UCO Valley versus a Malbec from here or a Malbec from there is very different. And then even you go to a single place and a Malbec at 900 meters versus 1100 meters versus 1300 meters in the same area are all very different. But Patagonia is on the global market relatively new. We're not seeing huge amounts of it yet. So yeah, just really interested to get people's thoughts on this, if they've had anything from the south and how they compare it to the Malbecs that they drink every day. Kathy's on to the cheese board. There we are. Look at that. And says it was on the cheese board today, Kathy. That's what's important. Martin thinks it looks promising. And we've got a best in class so far. Look at that. Best so far. So yeah. Why do you keep stop popping up? There we go. So let's have a look at the tasting note. We got smoke, we got black cherry, got black. A lot of these deep dark fruits. We've got this spice. For me, there's a lot of it's quite an herbaceousness about it. A lot of Malbec is blueberry is like the king of the king of fruits for Malbec. And I found if you're doing a blind tasting, it can really, really help, because a lot of wines, they either go red fruit or black fruit. Malbec is one of the ones that generally has a lot of blueberry in it, which I think is a real kind of giveaway. But where this is a little bit further south, a little bit cooler, I think there's more of those spiciness. There's a herbaceousness about it. But you just look at the tasting notes there. There's such complexity. Everything, we've got the fruit flavors, we've got the oak flavors, we've got those tertiary flavors with our the smoke and the spice, the tobacco.
It is long lasting as well, but
It is very long lasting, and this cries out for food. This is grilled meat. This is, I think this, I was talking to Dan a little bit about this earlier, and I think that kind of like rack of lamb, where you have that kind of like that herb crust,
yeah.
I think would be absolutely, absolutely beautiful with this.
I think something also like a game pie and mash. I'm going pie and mash for this. Don't know why, but I just feel pie and mash.
Absolutely. 13.5% alcohol, so not as big as some from other thing. There we are. Patagonian Malbec, Patagonian lamb. Look at that. It's what goes together, grows together.
Yep.
Hugely important with that. Their personal tasting note from Del Rio Loza is to have sea bass wrapped in pancetta. And once again, that's where you get that fish. So it is that, there's so many places that, local goes with local. And
it's all homegrown.
They create foods to go with the wine, and it becomes part of culture. And I think it's really interesting for us that until recently there wasn't loads of wine made in the UK, and especially affordable wine, and therefore we had access to this massive global wine market. So we're like, well, we'll cook what we want, and we'll drink something from France or something from Spain or something from Italy, and we didn't really go through that kind of goes together, grows together in the UK. Really didn't. And then we go to other regions. It just makes sense. You go to the south of Italy and everything, these wines go with these great tomato-based dishes because that's what they make. It's really, really important.
What have we got? Food.
Lovely with venison. Yeah, as we said, those kind of like those gamey kind of things. I'd say it goes lovely with venison, but, it's a bit dear.
Oh no, it's taken this long for a joke.
Exactly.
This long for a pun.
4 for 4, and the quality is building. No pressure.
Ooh.
Well, so we'll end the show here on Wine 4.
Thank you
very much.
and good night.
Have a wonderful night. So these guys are very, very traditional. There's no pesticides in the vineyard. It's hand harvested, so they go through, pick everything. Once again, a little bit of oak. So 6 to 8 months in, 20% first used oak, which gives you that vanilla. Loads of blueberries, loads of vanilla, loads of spice. And you just, we put these word clouds up, but you just look how many different flavors are on it. It's such a busy, busy, busy word cloud. Shows that level of complexity, that level of quality, and that level of great wine that's going on here. And these guys make some fantastic wines. They make a Tannat, they make an absolutely wonderful Chardonnay. And we were torn about whether we were going to do the Chardonnay and do 3 whites and 3 reds, or do their Malbec. So
got Cab Franc as well, haven't they?
Yeah, Cabernet Franc down there, which we haven't got one tonight, but Argentinian Cab Franc is definitely something to keep your eye out for. But
would you say also, Jamie, with sort of like Argentinian wines, that it's sort of like quality at a great value as well with the wines that are coming from the country?
So yeah, I think as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was worried. Oh, God, I sound like I'm the manager. Okay, I was worried about Argentina, but I was, because I think we've all saw what happened with Australian wine 15, 20 years ago. That there was the critter wines, and these wines came and they're absolutely drinkable and really, really well priced, but they were simple. They did the job. They were made to a recipe, then just drank. There wasn't any level of kind of regionality, or this is good, drink it. It's just everybody's happy. And Malbec caught on, and I was a bit worried Argentina was going to go that way. That people would go, well, Malbec from Argentina is supposed to cost £5. Why is this one £28 or £30 or £16.50 or whatever that number is? But going above that. But I really think the quality winemakers have dug in and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go in this race to the bottom to make millions and millions and millions and millions. And there are some wineries that do that. Every country has their bulk wines, their bulk wineries that make this. But there's so many winemakers that have stuck to their guns and say, hey, I want to make great quality wine, that has allowed us to be able to do tastings like this and drink wines like this. And it's really good. So Kelsey's got a point about Cab Franc here. And Yeah, and Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong because you're over there. I've heard there's a lot of Argentinians are choosing to drink Cab Franc locally because they can make a bit more money exporting the Malbec because that's got the brand's name and therefore they can make great Cab Franc and drink it at home is what I've been hearing a little bit of. So final little look at the tasting notes and we're there. Yeah, plum, spice, vanilla, smoke, black cherry, top quality Malbec. So and I think you'll be very impressed with the pricing when it turns up. Okay, so next we are going to head back to Mendoza. So let's get wine number 5 in the glass. But as we start sipping on the Kaiken, we've got a little video from Al Passion, just explaining what they're up to, what they're doing. Live from the vineyards. Well, I say live in the last few days. There's a little bit in the intro that there's about 8 or 10 seconds that there isn't any sound. So don't shout at me, there's no sound. It does come in.
Hi, it's Kathy here from Al Passion Vineyard in the UCO Valley in Mendoza, Argentina, and I'm pleased to be actually reporting from the vineyard rather from my home in the UK. These are our Pinot Noir vines in the shape of the fingerprint. The grapes form quite tight bunches and are early budding and early ripening, so they'll be harvested later on at the end of February, beginning of March. Sauvignon Blanc grapes.
Ja, I need someone with a spade to help me.
Ja, hier is een spoor. Oké,
Nummer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Steen in deze spoor.
dat is terrible. Dat is de wijnmaker. Zo waar die wijnmaker zat. Ja.
Hi, I'm living in South America, and there are 47 different aromas in this aroma room, primary, secondary, and tertiary. And to smell the aromas, you twinkle the and you get the aroma. This particular one here is honey, and you can either do it with your back to the notes so that you effectively blind tasting, or you can look at it so you see what you're smelling. It's really helpful if you're going to be tasting wine to know what some of the aromas are you're going to be smelling.
This one is Chardonnay. 2022.
Sí, que ya está próximo a estallar.
So it's soon to be on this one.
¿Sí? Está, acá entró directamente como jugo de uva, hizo la fermentación, la posterior 12 meses nuevas de este año, un lote de barrica del segundo y el tercer uso. Nosotros hacemos un blend dentro de lo que es el mismo vino que fue fermentado en barrica de Jerez de uso distinto.
So here the liquid enters here as juice, and it makes the fermentation here inside for 12 months, 12 meses.
50% Malbec, del cuartel 22, la uva es la misma que probamos, ¿sí? Y el otro 50% de Cabernet Franc, de la misma uva que probamos recién la barra.
Well, welcome back, and I think it's wonderful to get an insight of what's happening in the world in Argentina, and not just about the wine, but the tourism, and all the other things that go on. It's not just what's in the glass; it's the people behind it, the stories that go with it, the wine tourism, and we're just waiting for Kathy to sort out the plane to take all our online wine tasting club members over to Al Passion for a quick weekend away. So if you're in for that, just chat to Kathy in the chat, and she'll get that sorted for each and every one of us. Is what I'm hoping.
I don't think that's going to happen somehow.
No, fair enough. Hey, if you don't ask, you don't get. So anyway, after a little intro into Our Passion, we are back in Mendoza. So Mendoza is where we had the Pinot Grigio earlier, but this is Kuyken winery, and Kuyken is named after the wild goose that used to fly across the Andes, because the winery has history in Chile and also in Argentina. So therefore, the Kuyken was able to break down the barrier of the Andes mountain range to travel between the two countries.
So it's like Disney. I said it all happened with a goose.
My word. And this, it all started with a goose. My word. This is why you have never done this before.
That's why I stay behind there.
Exactly. So Mendoza winery. So this is mainly Malbec again, but it's got a bit of Bonarda in there and a bit of Petit Verdot. And Bonarda is a grape that we're gonna, I think, start seeing a lot more of coming out of Argentina. It's big, it's bold, it's ripe, it's chewy, and it really brings some body into the back of the Malbec. So Malbec, a lot of blue fruit, and then you can get this real kind of like weightiness and jamminess coming out of the Bonarda, and it's got a little bit of Petit Verdot as well. Petit Verdot is something that's usually used as a blending grape. You don't see it in many places. Some people do single varietal because there's always somebody, isn't there? There's always somebody. If I go, it's always in a blending grape. I'm going, oh, there's this person that do a Petit Verdot. But it's usually used in a blending grape, especially, once again, in Bordeaux. And we see a lot of these grapes have gone, Bordeaux to South America because, that was, A, people traveled that way, and B, with a lot of planting, those were the grapes that were, commercial at the time. People, oh, Bordeaux sells for a lot of money, so let's plant Bordeaux grapes. So these guys, 70% of the vineyards are theirs to make this wine. 30% they've got some other contract growers that they've got relationships with that they bring all these things in. But these guys are, massively high. The Malbec and the Petit Verdot comes from what's called the Vista Flores vineyard, and then the Bonarda comes from Agrelo in Luján de Cuyo. And if you remember Agrelo, we did it on a wine tasting with the Casarandra a couple of so we're very, very high altitude. We're between 950 and about 1300 meters above sea level, and this gives us that beautiful diurnal shift, which is warm during the day, cool during the night. So great ripe fruit, beautiful acidity, everything that you could need from a good quality wine. So And this comes from a relatively hot, dry vintage as well. So you get more ripeness, more concentration of fruit. And, you know, it's once again, people, what's been really exciting with this, people have gone mental on the tasting notes, which, oh, that might be the tasting note. Fruity goodness, this has to be good for you. Who popped that? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know.
Put it
Who
on a
put that in?
t-shirt.
Yes, fruity goodness, black fruit gums, lip smacking. I just think this is a really, really cool wine. Once again, with having Bonarda and Petit Verdot, is it something that people are just going to grab off the shelf without trying it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's a lot of fun, yeah.
As you were saying with the blend, it's so nice how sort of like a blend of 3 grapes brings so much to a glass. All the different elements just seem to come together almost like a baking recipe, and you just get this deliciousness.
Everything adds something. And I talk, you know, we talk about blends, people go, oh, they put 5% of this in and 2% of that in and 1% of that in. And they go, does it make a difference? Can you taste it? And you can't always put your finger on and go, hey, they put 1% Cabernet Franc in the blend. But there's something about it that makes it different from anything else. You know, the 5% Petit Verdot. Now I know it's Petit Verdot. I can go, oh yeah, that adds the floral, the lift, whatever. If I just tasted it blind, I go, well, it's a light floral Malbec. But when you get told what's in it, you can understand why each thing is in there. So yeah, once again, ticks the boxes. The sustainably, you know, the certified sustainable, vegan, all that kind of good stuff. And we're starting to see that as standard. You know, people are planting to be able to be sustainable. They're, you know, whether it's putting solar in, whether they're using water power, whether they're, you know, using different sprays. But, you know, as we've talked about previously, it doesn't always mean what people think it means. You know, you've got to dive a little bit deeper. You know, you say hey, it's organic. You can still spray copper sulfate on your vines, which, you know, it leaches in the water. It's not great. But, you know, you've got to have a little bit of a deeper look into what's going on. Well, there we go. There's a. I'm feeling a lot of pressure going on here. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. Number 6 should be spectacular.
Going on.
There is. Dangerous.
So with this as well, Jane, with the blend, what would you say, sort of like food pairing wise? What would this cry out to you for?
This is big, bold steak. Done.
Yeah.
Done. This is when I think about when you see the videos of Argentina with you know, the restaurant with a steak the size of this table and a bottle of this is what I think the wine is that should be drunk at that occasion. This big bowl, you know, massive.
You're going tomahawk, steak. Aren't you?
Yeah, massive flame grilled steak. This, you know, maybe served out of a magnum instead of a bottle because that's what it needs to be. And I think that would be the way to do it. Yeah, big, bold, delicious, really cool bottle of wine. Really cool bottle of wine. Any thoughts on food pairings from home? Yes. So we're all in agreement here. Neil, you are on the money.
Tomahawk barbecue.
Tomahawk barbecued steak. So I'm getting ahead of myself here, but for one of our summer tasting in August, we're going to do an Argentinian barbecue cook-along. So we're going to record, tell you what you should get in, and we're just basically, me and Alex are going to sit at his barbecue, cook a load of steak, drink a load of Argentinian wine, and tell everyone how it's a great time. So
if anyone would like invites, please speak to Alex in the chat while he's in Lanzarote. He'll be more than happy to have you around for dinner. Cheers, Alex.
There we are, done. So yeah, I think this is big, it's bold, it's steaky, it is delicious. And you know, once again, Kaikin, they make lots of different styles. They make 100% Malbecs. They do, you know, all kind of good stuff. So definitely, if you like this style, they're a winery you should keep an eye on. You know, they do different levels. This is their terroir series. What do we got here? Messi on the barbecue. Wow. Well, you know, I haven't even mentioned the World Cup. I was very good so far, but there we go. So, moving on to our final wine of the evening. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. I'm feeling a lot of pressure here.
No pressure.
That everyone's been, everything's great so far, and we've got to get on to wine number 6 and see what happens. So we are now all the way back up north. So he says as he tries to play with graphics. There we are. So we are back up the top. We are back up in Salta. And this is a winery called Finca Quara. And for those of you who have been with us for a little while, you probably know Finca Quara. We've used some of their other wines on tastings. We've used their Torrontés. We've used their Malbec. And now we are using their Tannat. Absolutely love this wine. A good friend of mine, Alfredo, was involved with Felix Levac, which is the winery that makes this. And it was when we were putting myself and Alex were putting together Tring Winery. It was the first winery that we both agreed on that was going to be on the shelf, and it was their high level Torrontés. A, it was delicious, and B, it had a golden llama on the label, and that's what's important. Golden llamas. If you don't have a golden llama, it would be alarming.
This one's got a llama on the label.
It does indeed.
It's not a golden llama. That's a llama.
So Dan has put on his notes here. It's got a llama on the label, so it must be good. He's obviously learned all his wine stuff from me.
A little bit blurry.
So yeah. 150-year history with Felix Levac, 5 generations of winemakers, and they were one of the first, if not the first, to plant these international noble varietals in the Cafayate Valley. Beforehand, there was a lot of Torrontés and wild vines and just kind of like local indigenous stuff. So to really go after that, 2,000 meters above sea level, so it's very, very, very high. And yeah, it's bold, it's spicy, it's big, it's chewy. It's not something, for me anyway, that I'm going to sit and, just have a glass of. Very, very chewy. But, it's Tannat. And for that, you want to say, what's Tannat like about it? Hey, it's getting to that time of day, isn't it? It's getting to that time of day. So yeah, let's have a look. There we are. Yes, I would love a recommendation for a steak shop, Kathy, that we can get everybody on the same steaks and get them delivered out. That would be awesome. But yeah, this Tannat is massive. It's chewy. It's
black fruits and just
black fruit and
spice,
but a huge amount of herbaceousness as well. It's got this mintiness, this eucalyptus. But the big thing for me is the tannins. It sits here. It's chewy. It's rich. It's
definitely a food wine, isn't it? This one,
yeah, and this I don't think it's that big steaky kind of thing. Like the previous one was crying out for steak. This for me is that more kind of like winter warmers, those kind of comfort foods. Whether it's a beef stew or bangers and mash with like a thick onion gravy, that kind of like that classic comforty. Sit at home in the winter, either like your grandmother used to make, or that kind of like classic pub food-esque kind of thing, slow cooker. That's the kind of wine for me. 6 out of 6. Thank you very much, Neil. And I think what makes me really excited about 6 out of 6 for this is the wines were all very, very different styles. There wasn't, hey, here's 6 different Malbecs, here's 6 different Pinot Grigios to try. The wines all sing their own song. They all do their own thing.
Even from going down south and seeing a couple of great varieties that are different and things, and how the areas are different with varieties.
Yeah, big black fruit. My teeth love it. Yes. Yeah, it's got that. Yeah. You don't want to drink a bottle of this and then walk down the street without a quick brush of the teeth, do you? That's gonna hang out with you for a little while. Yes, eucalyptus. Gentle spice. It has got this nice kind of like warming spice about it. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. A lot of cool stuff. Once again, it's a great winery, and they offer really good value for money. Really, really exciting as to what's going on. Okay, we're going to pop this up.
Yep.
And this is our final note of the night. So what we're going to do now is we've got one more little thing on the tab. Jump any more questions in, because we're here to answer these questions. But we're going to pop up. going to put up a little poll to see which was wine of the night. So if you want to dive in and see what wine of the night was, that is all available to go for you. So while we're voting on them, I hope we've had a good night. I think there's been a lot of fun stuff going on. I think there's been some great wines. I suppose I'm going to have to go back and, you know, once again, need to thank our good friends at Danny Wine Club, who we got in touch with a couple of weeks ago, and I saw the hoodies and I'm like, yes, I must have these. So if you like their stuff, obviously dive in, go and see them. There's hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's all kind of cool stuff. So pop on there, have a little look. Yeah, it's a bit geeky if you're a wine thing, but it's really cool. Alex has got one for the next show, so and it is very Alex. So even if you don't have a tasting kit for adventurers, I would tune in just to see this hoodie because it is worth it. There's a couple of other things we're doing now, and I'm just going to bring it to your attention while I'm able to. We're now doing these limited edition 3-packs. So there's, you know, it's not a full tasting. There's about a 45 seconds kind of like QR video with each of the tasting, and it's just 3 really good drinkable value wines for you to taste and find your new great glass of wine. So 15 quid gets it delivered to you, and in that there's a £10 voucher to spend on your favourite wine. So, you know, it's a really good way to try some new wines at absolutely zero risk. And these are, you know, kind of designed to pop on, you know, the wines that you're just going to drink every day and, you know, dive in and try it. So, so we've got that, we've got whites, we've got reds, and, you know, as we're going to keep, you know, they're going to be limited. So we're going to do about 100 packs of each. When they're gone, they're gone. And then we're going to do another set. So there's always going to be something new to try and dive in and try. So really kind of some cool stuff there. And then coming up next month, we're doing wine and cheese. So what we're going to do in the next couple of days is we're just going to send out a list on the Discover series. We're not going to do a cheese box that we send to you. We just want to allow people to kind of pick and choose. The idea of the Discoverers is to kind of build your perfect cheese board, some great wines that go with cheeses. We're going to send a list of what me and Alex are going to have on the table. You know, there's going to be a brie, a cheddar, a goat's cheese, maybe a blue, something like that. And then you can get what you like or what you don't like and just taste along, and we'll drink some cool wines and have a little chat about cheese. On the Adventure series, with an email to come out, we're going to have some cool wines, some cool cheeses, and we're going to have a guest host. We're going to have a cheesemonger join us to talk through her cheeses and what is going on with them. So, wines of the night. Let's have a little look-see. So,
it's close.
Well, we'll give everyone 30 seconds because it's very close. 30 seconds if anyone's not put their vote in. And I will, while we do that 30 seconds, we'll have a quick look at the chat and see what we've missed. Kathy's off for dinner. And I think this is a great point. It's difficult to rank them. They're all great wines. And this is the thing, you know, we're not going to put the poll up and say what was best, what came sixth, because I don't think that's a fair representation of the wines. They're all fantastic. They're all great wines. It's not one is the best and six is the worst. There's, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So, so what do we got? So the top two are the Malbec from Verum and the Red Blend from Kaiken. So 2 really, really great wines. And let's just pop up the prices. And I hope you guys are kind of excited by this because I think they are phenomenal value for money for the wines that we've drunk tonight. You know, everything, you know, starting at 13 quid and, you know, topping out at 16 quid. I think there's some really, really cool wines. So the collection is there, you know, Argentina 23. And if you want to go, look, I'm playing with QR codes all day here. Look at that. And then if you just want to jump in and get the wines, you can go straight in there and go to the collection, and they are all there for you. So what's he done now? It was going so well, and then I've clicked too many buttons. It's going so well. There we are. I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back. Look at that. So you know, big thing in the chat. If you want Dan to come back, let us know. He'll come back. If you don't want to let Dan come back, send him a kindly worded email, dan@onlinetasting.co, and he won't come back. But, don't say that to me. But I hope everyone's had a wonderful night. It's been a lot of fun. As always, if you like the wines, buy the wines, because the more we sell, the more we can get out to wineries and go, hey, people try your wines, then they buy them, they get excited. So hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you all very, very soon.
Good night, everyone. Jamie.
Good night.
Roll credits.